right. It's been a while since I did a live stream, so hopefully I remember how to do it. So what I've got today, and I decided just to do this as a live stream so that I don't have to edit any footage to get it out. It's actually more of a quick tip. As I learn stuff with the FlexRadio, and I will say that I actually do really love the potential the FlexRadio has. I love the screen. I love the layout. There are bugs. That's a bit annoying for a radio that's $5,000, but overall, I am satisfied with the radio. I just wish they would pay more attention to these little details. In all fairness, however, I'm not sure if this bug is part of the FlexRadio, an issue on that, or if it's a issue with the software accessing it remotely. So let me explain a little bit of the scenario I'm seeing. Is that I can be sailing along, I can use my hand mic, this thing right here, no issues whatsoever, working great. I'll have a profile selected, for example, this one right here, the default FHM3DX profile, be working fine. And for kicks, I even saved that as default and tried this as well, and I still ran into the same issue. And I'll be sailing along and then maybe walk away from my radio for a while, physically in front of my radio, and I didn't put all this together. And then one day I'll come back and I'll go to sit in front of my radio and go to transmit, and it doesn't work. And so then I'll switch profiles around back and forth, and it'll start working under a different profile, but it will no longer work under the profile I had selected. And that's with the mic selected here. This little selection here was set to mic, the profile was there, and it just won't work. So for example, I'll show you right now, I'll key the mic, and you'll see that it keyed it. Let me get this off the screen. You see it keys it, but I'm talking and it's not responding to that profile anymore. And I'm like, what's going on? This all worked. This literally worked. I had everything working. Why is it not work anymore? And I spent a long time. It's an easy fix if you're having this problem. Spent a long time trying to figure out. Finally, I just wiped the persistent data, which seems to be the solution for a lot of things. But this is actually not a persistent data issue. It is an issue with something getting saved to the database, but it doesn't look like a corrupt persistent data issue. So let me explain what is actually happening to me, and maybe this is what's happening to you. The times when I'm up here using my radio and I get it all working great, and then I don't use my radio for a little bit, and then I decide, hey, you know what? I'm going to use my phone to remote it, or I'm going to use my iPad to remote it, or my laptop. Well, and I don't know, because I really didn't remote with the Windows version. I'm using the Mac version on my laptop of Smart SDR, and I'm using the iOS version, of course, on my iPad and phone. But let me just connect to my radio here, and I'll show you. You do all your standard stuff you're supposed to do. And you probably won't be able to see the screen really easily, but if you've used this software, you'll know what I'm talking about. So I'll just get it open already. So if you decide that you want to transmit, what is it? Seriously? Try this again. All right. All right. So if you decide that you want to transmit, you go to the menu over here that you see on the right-hand side, and you would go to pick which mic you want to use, and you would pick the iPad. Now, if you have this software, you know where I'm pointing. But the point is when you're, and then you can also pick a different profile here. It doesn't matter. Pick the profile that they have for iOS that gets created by this application. I don't need to show you more of this. If you have this software, then this could potentially be your issue. Again, I don't know if it does this with the Windows version, but it does do this when I'm using the Mac OS version, a Smart SDR, or the iOS. So I'll be transmitting. I pick the iPad as my mic, or I pick my microphone on my Mac laptop as my mic, and I'll be transmitting, and it works great. What's happening is, for whatever reason, whatever profile you have selected on your radio, and I will show you because I was running as default. Let's go ahead and load the default profile. So I load it. Whatever reason, when you go in here, it will overwrite a setting on the default profile. And what it's turning off is the bias, which is the voltage to the microphone. Turns it off. Obviously, you don't need that when you're using the mic that is on your iPad or your iPhone or your Apple. I'm just not sure why it's actually overwriting the setting and saving it, because you'll see I had ran also at one point. I was selected the profile. I'll show you. I'll load. Whoops, went back too far. Profiles, mic. I'm going to go ahead and load the DX one. And as well, I was running the DX1 at one point in time, and you will see the bias is off. That's what's happening, is the bias is getting turned off. So as soon as you turn the bias back on, you go back in, click. Is this frequency open? My radio is not tuned, but you get the idea. You saw the little thing go up. You saw there was transmission. So that is the issue. It's very simple. Again, I'm not sure why it's overwriting, or I should say saving over your profile with a new profile with the bias turned off. Even when on your iPad, you might have selected the iPad profile, or if you're on your MacBook and you select the MacBook profile, it's changing the profile that you have configured for when you're sitting in front of your radio. I don't know if the bug is actually in the Mac versions and the iOS versions of the software. I don't know if the bug exists if you're using Smart SDR for Windows. And I don't know if the bug is actually maybe something on the radio side. Wherever the case might be, if you find that's happening, just check your bias setting on the radio. So again, that is right under your phone setting. You just want to make sure the bias is on. And then you can correct it. Like, for example, I just turn the bias on. I can go back to my profiles. And now that it's on, I am going to go ahead and create. And I'm going to keep the name the same. And I think that's all I do. Let me go back. I'm going to load this one. Then I'm going to go in and I'm going to go back to this one. If that worked, I'm going to reload this one. And let's see if it's saved as the bias is on. Yes. So all you do is hit create, which is the same as save. It'll overwrite it with the bias back on, and there you go. Your mic is all set. But you got to remember, more than likely when you go to use remote to control this, at least with the Apple devices, it's going to mess it up again. So it's not a big deal. You don't actually have to do a factory reset to fix your persistent data to get everything fixed. It is one of the little annoyances that come with the FlexRadio. Guys, focus on polishing what you got instead of adding new crap. Fix the bugs. I'm a software developer. I get there's bugs, but focus on, these are stupid little things. Little things like, if I click on the thing and I hold down here, now watch me not be able to do it again. Yeah. For example, I just now double clicked on the frequency and it's got a number keypad up. If I type, I've just jacked this up, and basically, if I recall correctly, I don't remember what this is. Yeah, basically, see, it breaks, it crashes. You know, maybe fix that. It's just little things like that. See, and now it's literally restarting the radio. Don't get me wrong. I really do love this radio. If you've watched my other videos, you know if I'm fighting stupid garbage, like watch my camper videos. The Rockwood is taken and put screws that are like a quarter-inch long into wafer board, and they think it's going to hold. I don't have a tolerance for that. The camper is not so special to me that I can tolerate those little kinds of things because there's a lot of better things out there. This radio, I don't really have a tolerance for bugs, but once you learn what is actually a bug and not just a defective radio, and you hope that it will get resolved, you can look past it. Again, there's just so much this radio can do, and I don't want to sound like I'm bashing it because I actually really, really do like my FlexRadio. Now, in all fairness, I've never had a 7610 ICOM, and I've never had the new Yaesu. I have tried the 7300, and I would never run a 7. Don't get me wrong, the 7300, especially for its price point, and at some point I may own a 7300. I don't know, depending on where I want to use it. But for my home base station, I don't think I would want anything any less than like the 6600 or the 7610 or the Yaesu 101. The 200 watt version would be cool. But when I researched a lot with the network connectivity that the Yaesu offers, it's very limited. The 7610, I think, would by far be better than that as far as the networking stuff is concerned. But there's just so much that you can do with the Flex. The API that it supports. I want to build a web-based API so that you can basically use it like WebSDR. And because you can see that I can share my screens, what I'd like to actually do is have a web-based SDR so people can actually use it for shortwave listening and actually, tune it using YouTube. They can use a web-based browser and actually see the screen on the radio. And I can still use the radio, just remote it in with my laptop. It's just I wouldn't use the screen in front of me because I'd be using this HDMI. So let me show you one other cool thing I'd gotten. Now it's a little flaky. I don't know if I can get up here because it seems to cut off the screen at times. I think I got a bad USB cable. But this thing is pretty handy. This is what I've got coming from the radio into the computer to capture the screen so that you can see what I'm actually getting off the 6600M. Now, one of the other little glitches, bugs that I've ran into, which I was just going to mention, and now it slipped my mind because I'm old and senile. No, not really, but it's a space cadet. One of the things is the bug. It's one of these obvious things that you pull your hair out until you figure it out. And it slipped my mind, so I guess I'm not going to talk about it at this very moment. Maybe it'll come back to me. So let's go through here real quick, and I'm going to go back into the radio. And being I'm just talking about random little issues with the radio, maybe these will help you if you're new to Flex. Be patient with it. I was ready to send this thing back when I first got it. It was annoying. Oh, I remember the bug. Keep in mind, Flex is at mercy of what Windows can do. And as we all know, Windows is like the crappiest operating system on the planet as far as stability. Anyway, that's as bad as talking politics, honestly. Everybody's got their own opinion. Now, every operating system, in my opinion, has a place, and Windows does have a place. And in fact, its place is it's the most widely supported operating system, and that's what gives it the edge, in spite of a lot of the things that stand about it. So sometimes it's just better suited for the job because of its popularity. So, but there is an issue when you have HDMI connected to this radio. When you have HDMI connected to this radio, you shut it down with the power switch on front, the green button, it probably will not come back up. The radio actually will. You'll be able to control the radio with Smart SDR for Windows or Mac and actually access the radio, but the display will not come back up. What is happening, or what I perceive is happening, is when you shut the radio down, Well, first, let's explain the power button on this radio. You have to understand this radio is actually two entities. You have a Dell tablet, I believe. It's the screen, and then you actually have the radio. They're not. It's not one unit. It's two pieces of hardware. 6600 in box. When you hit the power button, it's merely a relay that turns on both the tablet and the radio. Because of that, that relay can get out of sync. So if you hit the power button to turn everything off, but your tablet doesn't actually turn off, it doesn't know that. The only way everything is really turned off is when you hit that button, it starts shutting everything down, and it's at the mercy of Windows to make sure the Windows on the tablet shuts down completely. Now the radio will be shut down, but Windows may not. You could have a black screen on your tablet and it's still not off. And unless you throw off your main power from your power supply, like I'm using a Jetstream power supply. When I shut that off, then of course all power is cut to the radio and then everything is finally off. But if you don't turn off your power supply and you have HDMI connected to this, there's a good chance that Windows will not shut down completely. It will turn off your Dell screen and your screen will go completely black and your little green light will go off and your radio itself will be off. But the Dell tablet is really not off. It's hung. And so when you hit the power button again, the radio will power up. The Dell tablet does nothing because it was never off. It doesn't start up because it's already started. It's just hung. It's stuck. This is an issue that is not a Flex issue. I really strongly believe this is a Windows / hardware compatibility issue with HDMI and some hardware and circumstances and all that kind of stuff. So don't expect Flex to fix it, and it's not Flex's fault. But you may find it frustrating that you come in and you hit the power button and you turn your radio on and it's a black screen and you don't know why. If you haven't turned your main power off to the radio, that's more than likely why, if you have HDMI also connected to this radio. So that's, again, not a big deal. I don't think Flex will ever be able to fix it. I strongly think, and I'm repeating myself, but I do think it's a Windows / hardware issue between Windows and the Dell tablet and HDMI. So those are some little things that, if you don't know what's going on, can be extremely frustrating with the radio. Let's see, what are some of the other things that I ran into? Well, of course, persistent data can be an issue. Now, interestingly enough, other than I thought I was having a persistent data issue with the mic, and it turned out it was what I talked to you about earlier. A while back, I actually had the opportunity, because they were going to walk me through reformatting the SD card that's in the radio and just replacing the image on it. Well, I went ahead and I just decided to put a faster SD card. Now, it could just be coincidental. I don't know. I had a 128 gig SD card I use for recording 100 megabit video. I don't even remember what the speed is, but it's much faster than the SD card that comes with the radio. I have actually not had any persistent data issues since making that change. Again, it could have been a complete fluke. It could have been the fact that I just reformatted the card. But if you are seeing persistent data issues, which I was able to create simply by using the radio, as soon as I had more than one pan adapter open and I was trying to tune more than one slice at a time, I could easily corrupt the persistent data, and like I changed the 40 meter band and it just would go nowhere or not even respond, or change the 80 meter band, it would just not respond. If you've seen this issue, you know exactly what I'm talking about. It's been mentioned in the forums. Flex doesn't seem that think that it's a real issue, which I find that ironic considering they replaced the radio and the second radio I got did the exact same thing. I think the issue is some people get a radio like this and they don't really use it. And this is not an offense to them, When I spend $5 grand on something, I want to use it to its potential. If you designed it to do something, expect me to be the guy to find the problems, because I am going to use it to its potential. Now, I know as a software developer, I've created software, and I've sold software that's, as you know, not as expensive as this, but some of the software packages I've sold in the past were $300 a pop. And I'd see people buy those things and never even install them. The key would never be activated. They just spent $300. It just totally blew my mind. It's like, you spent $300 and you literally never use the software. So I think that the issue does exist for everyone. No, I think the issue is not everyone uses the radio to its real complete potential. Also, it's less noticeable in certain types of use conditions as well. So there is a bug with the persistent data, whether it be, they don't think it's the SD card because they said they use a really high quality SD card. It's a manufacturer grade SD card, but it was only a class 10, so it's not a super fast SD card. Maybe they're actually trying to write a database that's not flat file and has indexes to a device that could be turned off abruptly and corrupted at any time, which I think would be a mistake. And why would you do that? But maybe that's what they're doing. And so a faster SD card would potentially help prevent that kind of corruption. But again, maybe it shouldn't be written that way. That's totally an assumption on my part. I don't know how they wrote it. But there is an issue with the persistent data. That issue is annoying, but like I say, I have not had an issue since I reformatted with a faster SD card. I don't know if it's just been coincidence because of just reformatting it, or if it's because it's a faster card. So I'll drop that subject for now. The other, other little bugs. Honestly, a lot of the other issues I ran into this radio were legitimately user issues. There is an issue with the keyboard. I've made a video about this in the past. For example, if you go to type, sometimes the display, see, the keyboard came up fine. I'm going to pull up a number field though. Notice it flashed off. So what's happening is, this is another Windows issue. I don't think Flex can fix this. It doesn't know which keyboard to load. You've got a number keyboard and you've got a text keyboard. It doesn't know which one. If it happens to figure out that it's a number and that's what you want to load, and it actually locks in on that, it'll load the number pad just fine. Works great. The issue is as you see, now it loaded the number pad. I'll click it again. And now it didn't load. It's sporadic. If you swipe, you force it. You force it to know to load the text keyboard. So as long as you swipe this every time, it's going to load the text keyboard. Now you can't, I'm realizing I'm doing this and you can't see it. So let me show you with my mouse. I'm putting my finger here. I'm actually dragging my finger across the box. Instead of just tapping in the box, I drag my finger across the box. And when I do that, it forces it to always load the text keyboard. Now, of course, then you have to throw it into number mode and type your numbers in, but at least you're getting the keyboard to load. I've tried using a stylus and other things. That didn't really help. So again, as you can see, I swipe, keyboard loads. I just type, if I just press like that, was just the press, the keyboard just flashes. So just take my word. I swiped when I said I was swiping, and I just pressed when I pressed. So that's another little glitch that's, I believe, a Windows glitch, and something that Flex will probably never be able to fix. They're at the mercy of Windows on that one. So let's see, what else? I honestly don't see any other really that are coming to my mind that actually were bugs. I really think those are it. I'm sure there's little ones that maybe I don't really notice and other people would, but you can't see it based on what I'm sharing to you right now. But the screen just looks amazing. It's a beautiful display. It is very, very clear. The interface, again, I've talked about this in other videos. It's very simple. I like the fact that I can get overstimulated really easy, not remember what does what. There's very little buttons on this. It is menu based, like if you click here and then got your band selection and stuff like that. But it's like everything is in one place. It's like it's very, to me, for someone like me, I found it to be very intuitive compared to, I can't describe it. It's got the right amount of buttons and knobs. And when you're using the 6600M, the Maestro that's actually part of the radio, or if you had the Maestro alone, I I I love that. So I've kind of beated up the radio a little bit here when I'm talking to you about it, but the interface to me just came natural. It's like I don't have to hunt and pick. I do have vision issues. I don't have to guess where stuff is. You don't have to remember, oh, is it that button or this button? It's great. The diversity mode. I still do use my MFJ 1026. What is it called? I don't know. It's the noise canceller thing, whatever it's called. 1026 or something like that. I still use that. I bought a little Russian active receive antenna to use as the noise antenna on that, and then I moved my magnetic loop as a listening antenna to use so I could use diversity mode. I have to say diversity mode is actually pretty darn cool. You would have to actually use it to understand it, to see what it's really like, but it's really nice listening with diversity mode. It's adds a whole new depth, in my opinion. But now keep in mind, Flex is not the only one that supports diversity mode. It's not new, but it's cool. I like that. But and also I changed those Palmar Engineering or whatever that company's called for my the RFI filters, the ferrites, and I literally don't have to cancel a whole lot of noise like I used to. Everything has just improved immensely since really focusing on how I have my shack set up. But most of the noise correction in the radio actually didn't help me a lot. There's sometimes I see a little bit of a benefit from it. It's definitely better than when I had a 7300 sitting right next to it and compared it, like the noise monitor on the Flex. No matter what anybody tells you, it's definitely better on the Flex compared to like the 7300. Don't expect to necessarily receive better, is all I'm trying to say. If you had something like the 1026 and you get all your all your local noise taken care of by putting ferrites on everything, like I literally got them on everything, and when you get the right kind, these things were like this big around. They're big loops, and I'm looping my my cables through them and everything else, and so they're not like these little box ones, although some of them are little box ones, but for the most part, those are only used like on my network cables and stuff like that. So, I don't want to think, I wouldn't ever say that this radio is going to make you hear better. Not in a high noise environment. I don't think that I can actually hear better other than the fact that it has diversity mode. I don't think I can actually hear any better than like the FT891, which I have. But like I said, the interface, the fact that this has support for 4 slices, so I can receive 4 different frequencies at the same time, and the computer control ability that it offers and brings to the table, I love it. So that's my honest review of the FlexRadio at this point. Now I wanted to give a shout out to the Smart SDR from Mac. The guy that's writing that software is right on the ball. Unfortunately though, you need to have like Catalina to run it, so it won't run on the older Mac, and so then you're stuck back to using something like Dog Park, and I wasn't impressed. I wouldn't spend $100 on that. I most of the time on this computer that I'm sitting in front of right now, this is running High Sierra, so I can't run Smart SDR for Mac. But I actually really enjoy using the 6600 M's, the Maestro. It's fine. I like the fact that I don't have to use a computer to use this radio. And again, I can get the output to you guys so you can see what I'm doing just by adding on that with Amazon, which it should be listed on my site, thejohnnyoshow.com/promotions. Go under technology or video and technology or video and electronics. If it's not there, I'll make sure it gets there. It's kind of cool for this. Then you can stream that. But I guess that's it. That's all I have to say. I hope that you guys find this beneficial. And maybe I'll just tune to a good frequency here and walk away and let you guys listen. Let me see what's out there. Let's turn the audio on. For some reason, I'm not hearing anything on the microphone. I mean, my headphones. Oh, I have it. That's the problem when I walk away from this stuff and don't use it. I know. Probably I have slept. All right. There we go. Let's see what we got here. Look at the bands. You can tell that things are starting to come back. Solar cycle. Let's see. Zoomed out. I'm going the wrong way. Here we go. That's what happens when I haven't used the radio. Oh. Here's an example of how I use the noise canceller. Well, one thing you would do is you just try to find the frequency somewhere else without noise. Well, let's see if I can get that out. I'm going to show you with the 7610, not 7610, what am I thinking? With the MFJ 1026. Let's go ahead and see what we got here. Let's first turn off my, we'll do it one antenna at a time. So now I have my main antenna and I'm going to turn down. So there's that. And at 2, it brings it in at about 9. So 9. And this 2. Okay. Now, oh, it went completely silent, didn't it? Let's try to find something. And that's the nice thing about this. It has a 14 megahertz. Look at that noise. It'll go away here in a second, but that's an example of noise I get from something in the area, and if I needed to, I could get rid of it with my MFJ. But what is this? It does seem really hard to hear. This is what happens when I walk away from this thing for a few weeks. I forget settings. Let's see. Oh, this is that guy. I don't want this. I don't want that guy. Man, he's got several. I mean, to each his own. If that's what you want to listen to, that's fine. That's not what I want to listen to. And I can change the step. Bigger. And these are all the AM bands. I don't know. Maybe there's nothing good here right now. I don't know. I guess my heart just isn't in it tonight. So that's all right, guys. I got my information across to you that what I feel about the radio so far. I hope the review was helpful. I hope the suggestions regarding some of the bugs, how to deal with some of the bugs, is helpful. I am going to go ahead and sign off. And you guys have a great evening. And it's A0LCS 73.